Maybe you're hearing these words at a time when you're not sure what else to hold on to. You still smile around people. You still seem okay on the outside, but deep down, something inside you is slowly shutting down. You feel different and no one really understands why. You no longer belong in shallow conversations. You can't fake joy in the relationships that once felt familiar. And slowly, a thought creeps in. Maybe something's wrong with me. You pray, but God seems silent. You love, but end up abandoned. You remain faithful, but still feel alone. And you wonder, I'm still trying to follow you, so why do I feel so unseen? If you've ever asked that question in the quiet of your soul, then this video is for you. Not to preach, not to give you steps and answers, but simply to sit with you, right in that lonely place. I don't know your name, but if you're still here listening to these words, then I believe God may be using this moment to tell you, He still sees you. He sees the tears you cry at night when no one's watching. He sees how you carry strength because you don't want others to worry. He sees how much you want to disappear, but still choose to stay. And He wants to whisper something into your soul, gently but deeply. You are not forgotten. You are not broken. You are chosen. Not chosen to suffer, but chosen to walk a path only those who truly belong to Him will understand. It's not an easy road, but it's never a meaningless one. And if you're ready, I'd like to invite you to walk this journey with me. No pressure, no rush, no masks, just truth, just healing, and a quiet reminder from heaven. You are not alone. You are chosen. Part 1. The Mark of the Chosen. There is something different inside you, and you've known it for a long time. Even if you couldn't explain it clearly, you've always felt it. You are not like everyone else. There is a quiet distance between you and the world, as if you're watching life from the outside, never truly belonging anywhere. Even as a child, you felt disconnected, not quite at home with friends, not deeply understood even by your family. People said you were too sensitive, too quiet, too strange. But deep down, you knew that sensitivity wasn't a flaw, it was a sign, a sacred mark. God placed something inside you that not everyone was meant to carry, and because of that, your life would never look like theirs. Your path would be narrower, lonelier, but also more meaningful and more holy. You didn't choose this. You were chosen. The life of the chosen doesn't begin with honor. It begins with pain. Silent pain. Pain that no one sees, but you carry alone. You are the one who listens to others, but cries in secret. The one who stays strong for everyone else, but feels empty when no one is watching. The one who keeps asking the deep questions while the world offers no answers. Because the truth is, you don't belong to this world. Your roots are spiritual. Your purpose is eternal. And the weight you feel, that's the cost of the calling you carry. People won't understand you, and that's not a mistake. They'll walk away. They'll misread your silence, question your motives, laugh at your dreams. But what they see as rejection, God uses as protection. He's shielding you from anything that could corrupt what He has planted in you. Remember the shepherd boy left behind by his brothers, anointed in secret. God doesn't see as man sees. He looks at the heart, and He saw something in David that others couldn't, just like He sees something in you. When you are marked by heaven, you will often be misunderstood on earth. So if you've wondered why your life feels heavier, why people leave, why the doors keep closing, it's not because you're cursed. It's because you're being prepared. You're not just surviving, you're carrying destiny. And the mark on your soul, it's not a burden, it's a blessing. The reason you don't fit in is because you were never meant to. Chosen ones often walk alone, but they never walk without purpose. You were called before anyone knew your name, and the mark on you is real. Let the world misunderstand you. Let the pain shape you. Let the silence deepen you. Because God isn't looking for the loudest voice. He's looking for the purest heart. You belong to Him, and that is enough. Part 2. The Silent Years. When God says nothing, yet works more than ever. As you continue on the journey of being marked, you will soon enter the most confusing phase of the chosen one's path. Not when you face opposition from others, but when it feels like God Himself has gone quiet. You prayed and there was no reply. You obeyed, but doors still closed. You kept the faith, yet your soul began to tremble. That's the next phase of this journey, the silence. There comes a stage in the life of every chosen one that is harder to endure than rejection, more confusing than isolation. It's when God seems silent. You pray and hear nothing. You seek and find only closed doors. You remain faithful, but everything within you begins to waver. This is not a season of visible battles, but of quiet wrestling in the spirit. It is the long, dry valley where you wonder if heaven still listens at all. You may remember the days when God felt so close, when every prayer seemed to get a response, when you felt purpose surging through your soul. But now, silence, no confirmation, no direction, no feeling. And the most painful part, you didn't do anything wrong. You didn't sin. You still worship. You still wait. You still trust. And yet, God says nothing. You start asking, Lord, are you still there? Did I miss something? Am I still chosen? But what you don't yet see is that His silence is not absence. His silence is preparation. Every person chosen by God walks through what the Bible calls hidden years, a season where heaven says nothing, but God works deeper than ever. It is in silence that God anchors your roots. He tests your heart. He refines your intentions. He teaches you to hear Him, not through emotion, not through miracles, not through signs, but through stillness. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness before seeing the burning bush. Joseph sat in prison, forgotten, before standing in Pharaoh's palace. Job suffered loss, sickness, and silence before God restored him double. Even Jesus, the Son of God, spent 30 hidden years in quiet obedience before 3 short years of ministry. So if you find yourself in this quiet season, don't panic, don't rush, don't numb the silence with the noise of the world, because what God is building in you now in secret, He will one day reveal in glory. Let the silence sharpen your focus. Let it purify your faith. Let it burn away the need to be seen, heard, praised, or understood. In this season, you are not being punished. You are being positioned. You are not being ignored. You are being rooted. There are lessons the noise can never teach. Only silence can. You learn to serve without applause, obey without reward, trust without explanation. And when the silence is over and God finally speaks again, you will not be the same. So if you are living through the silent years, hold on. Stay faithful, stay hidden, stay surrendered, because this silence is sacred. It is not wasted. It is God's tool to prepare you for a weight of purpose you cannot yet carry. And when He does release you, when He speaks your name into the open, you will realize that everything in the silence had a reason. If you're walking through that place right now, comment 777 as a sign that you trust Him, even when He says nothing. That even in silence, you still believe you're chosen. Part 3. Spiritual isolation. Why the chosen can't connect like everyone else. As you move deeper into the journey of being set apart by God, you begin to notice something undeniable. Your connection with the world starts to fade. People who used to be close now feel distant. Relationships that once made you feel seen now feel forced, shallow. Conversations that used to be warm now leave you drained. And you realize, even when you're surrounded by people, you feel like a stranger. Even when someone is listening to you, you feel unseen. It's not just emotional loneliness, it's something deeper. It's spiritual isolation. And if you're feeling this, no, you're not crazy and you're not broken. You're just stepping into a spiritual shift, a dimension where God is separating you not out of cruelty, but out of calling. You no longer connect the way you used to, not because you're better than others, but because your spirit is beginning to operate on a frequency that not everyone can access. The chosen can't live like others. They can't play like others. They can't love like others, because their hearts have been marked for something sacred. You used to blend in easily. You used to enjoy being around people. But now you feel yourself slowly pulling away, not because you hate the world, but because God is teaching you something deeper, to value His presence above people's approval. You once thought being left out was a curse, but now God is showing you it was protection all along. The isolation you feel is not rejection, it's divine separation. It's where God breaks off the old to make room for the new. In Scripture, every person God used was first pulled into isolation. Joseph was sold by his own brothers and taken far from home. Elijah fled to the wilderness and lived alone with only ravens and a stream for company. Even Jesus himself often withdrew from the crowds to be alone in quiet places. So if you're feeling like no one really understands you anymore, if connections are starting to feel shallow, if you're withdrawing not by force but by inner conviction, know this: you are not being abandoned. You are being set apart. God is pulling you away from relationships, habits, and environments that no longer align with where He's taking you. He's not punishing you. He's protecting the purity of your calling. He's changing your appetite, your energy, your perspective, so that what once satisfied now feels hollow. He's preparing you for a new spiritual altitude. The more isolated you become, the more you learn to discern the voice of God over the opinions of people. You no longer live for applause. You no longer chase validation. You no longer feel the need to be included. And that is freedom. Freedom to live for one voice. Freedom to wait until God sends the right people. Freedom to serve, love, speak, and move without needing to be understood. If you're in that space now, where no one gets you, where even your closest people feel like strangers, where you're learning to live hidden and set apart, you're not falling behind. You're being led deeper, deeper into purpose, deeper into identity, deeper into Him. So if these words echo in your spirit, if the isolation you're experiencing has no rational explanation but makes perfect spiritual sense, leave a comment, 777, as your sign of agreement. Even in isolation, I know I'm chosen. You're not crazy. You're not wrong. You're not lost. You're being led into a place only the chosen will understand. Part 4. The weight of the calling. Great grace always comes with great responsibility. The chosen are not only marked, they are burdened. Not with something visible, not with a wound the world can point at, but with a quiet spiritual weight that presses on the soul. It's not something you can explain. It's a feeling that you were born to carry something higher than yourself, something sacred, something eternal. There are nights when you wake up heavy-hearted, and you don't know why. Days when you're tired, not because of work, but because you're holding something no one else sees. You feel the pull of purpose in your chest, even when you can't define it. While others live lightly, freely, casually, you can't. because inside you burns a fire, a holy responsibility you never asked for but cannot ignore. This is what no one tells you about being chosen. The calling comes with weight. You don't get to live loosely. You don't get to ignore conviction. You don't get to just go with the flow. Your life is not yours anymore. But this weight isn't punishment. It's proof that God trusts you. When He places a calling over your life, He also places trials in your path, not to destroy you, but to strengthen you. He does not build something eternal on a shallow foundation. So He allows the delays, the disappointments, the breaking, to make sure that when you rise unshakable. God didn't call you because you were perfect. He called you because of what He intends to shape you into. And with the call comes tension. You feel things more deeply than others. What they laugh off, you weep over. What they ignore, you can't unsee. You're disturbed by the spiritual things that others dismiss, not because you're overly emotional, but because your heart has been sensitized by the Spirit. You can't compromise, not because you're stubborn, but because your soul aches when you betray your assignment. That's what sets you apart. Not pride, not self-righteousness, but conviction. You've been given grace, but with that grace comes expectation. Expectation to remain pure, expectation to stay faithful, expectation to carry the light even in dark places. And yes, you will fail, you will fall, you will doubt. But even in your lowest moment, the weight of the calling will not leave you. It will ache in your spirit until you return again to the feet of the one who called you in the first place. The chosen do not get to live easy lives, because God intends to use them in extraordinary ways. And to carry that kind of influence, you must first carry the burden that builds compassion, humility, and fire. The deeper your calling, the heavier your preparation. But the weight you carry now is proof that heaven is investing in your life. And if you weren't called, you wouldn't feel any of this. So if you feel something inside of you that refuses to be silent, if you know that you were born not just to exist, but to fulfill a divine purpose, then let that burden drive you to your knees, not into fear. Let it be the reminder that you were never called to live ordinary. And if you feel like you're carrying a weight no one understands, comment 777 as your declaration. I'm not just called, I'm ready to carry what God has placed on me. So keep walking, even if the road is heavy, even if the cost is high, even if you feel alone. God is walking with you, and the burden you carry will become the blessing you release. Part 5. When God prepares you in the dark, the quiet refinement before you're revealed. There is a stage that every chosen one must go through, a time not of punishment, but of preparation. It is the hidden season, the time when God takes you out of the spotlight, not to punish you, but to shape you. While the world celebrates the visible, God values what's done in secret. He hides you, not because you're unworthy, but because you're not yet fully formed. You may be in that season right now. You feel invisible. Your efforts are unseen. Your gifts are overlooked. You see others being lifted, promoted, praised, and yet you remain in the background, doing what's right without recognition, walking faithfully without applause. But here's what you must know. No one God uses greatly is brought into the light before they are deeply refined in the dark. Joseph was prepared in a prison before stepping into the palace. Moses lived in the wilderness before becoming a deliverer. David, though anointed as king, went back to shepherding sheep for years. Even Jesus spent 30 years in quiet obedience before his 3 years of public ministry. In the dark, God is not punishing you. He's building your foundation. He's teaching you to serve without being seen, to obey without immediate reward, to stay faithful without outside affirmation. He lets you feel the pain of being forgotten, not to wound you, but to kill your need for approval. The dark place is where your motives are purified, where your heart is tested, where you learn to worship without music, to pray without an audience, to keep going when no one claps. It is in the silence, in the hiddenness, in the solitude, that God whispers your real identity. You learn that you are loved not for what you do, but for who you are. You learn to lean on God for your worth, not people. And in that secret place, your roots grow deep, so that when the storms come later, you will not be moved. The world chases visibility. God shapes invisibility. The world craves platforms. God craves purity. The world says, "Show me what you've got." But God says, "Let me show you who you really are." This season isn't glamorous. It's not easy, but it's holy. It's where the noise fades and the fire inside is tended in silence. It's where oil is produced, where character is forged, where destiny is confirmed. So if you're in the shadows right now, don't force your way into the spotlight. Don't try to promote yourself. Don't panic that it's taking too long. God knows the timing, and when the moment is right, He will call your name. And when He does, you won't be the same. You will be ready. You will be whole. You will be trusted with the kind of purpose that would have crushed the old you. If you know you're in the hidden place right now, if you feel like you're being refined in silence, comment 777 as a spiritual declaration. I am being trained in the dark, and I will remain faithful until the day God calls me out. You are not forgotten, you are being formed. And when you finally step into the light, the world will not see someone who arrived overnight. They will see someone who has been with God. Part 6. The Rise of the Chosen. When God reveals what He has prepared in secret. After years of silence, isolation, and refining in the dark, there comes a time when God begins to call your name. Not because you've proven yourself to the world, but because you've surrendered yourself to Him. The rise of the chosen does not begin with a spotlight or applause. It begins quietly, as all things in God's kingdom do. But when God reveals what He has prepared in secret, no one can stop it. He brings you into the light, not so you can be seen, but so that His light in you can be seen. And people start to notice. They begin to listen. They come to you for prayer, for guidance, for healing. But strangely, you don't feel the urge to be known. Because during the years in the dark, your pride was broken. Your need to be affirmed was surrendered. You don't step forward to shine, you step forward to serve. That's what sets the chosen apart when they rise. They don't step into the spotlight for recognition, they step into obedience. God's timing is never rushed. You don't get promoted because you pushed hard enough. You rise when heaven says, "Now." Like Joseph, one night he was in prison, and the next morning he was standing before Pharaoh. Like David, hunted one day, and soon after, crowned king. The rise may happen suddenly, but the person has been shaped over years. And when the door opens, you won't feel the need to prove yourself. You won't crave validation, because you'll know deep in your soul, this is not by your hand, it's by God's. That's how you know someone is truly chosen. When they're lifted up, they don't exalt themselves. When they gain influence, they use it to lift others. When they're given a voice, they use it to point back to the one who rescued them. Rising doesn't mean the struggle is over. It means the assignment begins. It's not the reward for surviving, it's the next level of surrender. So if you feel like you're stepping into a new season, if doors are beginning to open, if opportunities are showing up, if the things you once dreamed of are beginning to come into view, stay grounded, stay humble, Stay hidden in God, even when you're visible to people. This is not the finish line. This is the starting point. You are being positioned for greater purpose, not greater comfort. And if you feel like you're standing at that threshold between hiddenness and being seen, between being formed and being released, leave a comment. 777 as a declaration. God, I'm ready to step forward, not to be seen, but to obey. Because when God raises you up, it's never to glorify you. It's to make His light visible through your life, so others still walking in the dark can find their way. Part 7. From hidden to revealed. When God uses you to bring light to others. When God brings you out of hiding, it is never about making you famous. It is always about making Him visible through you. After years of being misunderstood, overlooked, broken and refined, you are no longer the same person who once longed to be seen. You don't crave the stage. You don't chase recognition. You walk forward with quiet obedience, knowing that everything God reveals is first shaped in the secret place. Now you begin to feel it. God is sending you out, but not as the person who needs attention, not as someone hungry for validation. He is sending you as someone who has been in the fire and come out purified. You are not stepping into the spotlight to shine. You are stepping in to serve. You are not the light. You are the mirror that reflects the light. And that is what makes you different. You don't need to preach loudly. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to convince anyone. Your life itself becomes the message. People look at you and they see restoration. They hear you speak and they feel understood. They read what you write and something in their soul begins to heal. Not because you're clever, not because you're trained, but because you stayed. You stayed in the pain. You stayed in the silence. You stayed when no one clapped, when no one answered, when no one stood with you. You stayed in the refining until God Himself said, now. Now, He uses you, not to impress, but to impact. Not to shine, but to serve. Not to lift yourself, but to lift others. When God gives you influence, remember where you came from. Remember the silence, the tears, the breaking, the hidden years. Let them keep you low before Him. Let them anchor your heart in humility, because what the world needs is not more impressive voices, but more sincere hearts burning with heaven's fire. And when people start noticing you, when platforms open up, when your words begin to spread, don't confuse the attention for approval. Stay in the presence. Stay in the secret place. That's where the anointing flows. That's where the light stays pure. The world is loud, shallow, and easily distracted. But you carry something different, substance, presence, and a holy weight. And that is what draws people, not your charisma, but your consecration. So if God is beginning to use you, stay usable. If He is opening doors, stay low. If He is giving you a voice, speak slowly, humbly, prayerfully. If you know this is your season, if your spirit says, yes, God is beginning to send me, then comment 777 as a holy declaration. Lord, I don't want to shine. I want you to shine through me. You have stepped out from hiding, but the light you carry still doesn't come from you. Keep reflecting, keep loving, keep serving, and never forget, the place where you were hidden is the place where God made you strongest. Part 8. The Day of Vindication. When God reveals why you had to endure everything you did, there will come a day, not a day you expected, not a day you chased, but a day God Himself appointed before the foundations of the earth. A day when every tear you cried in silence will be wiped away. A day when every pain you carried quietly will be given meaning. A day when every silence from heaven will be answered, not with words, but with revelation. That day is the day of vindication. For so long you were misunderstood. You stayed silent while others misjudged you. You remained kind while being ignored. You obeyed in the dark when no one recognized your effort. You chose the narrow road while others took shortcuts and received applause. And there were moments when you whispered in your heart, "Lord, is this worth it? Is this silent obedience meaningful?" And during those moments, God stayed silent. He didn't rush in to explain. He didn't stop others from mislabeling you. He didn't rescue your reputation. He simply watched, and he kept working in the dark. But there is a moment in every chosen one's journey when God no longer hides what he has been doing. Not only does he vindicate you, he uses your life as living evidence that he never forgets those who remain faithful in secret. Vindication doesn't come early, it doesn't come loud, it comes wholly, and it comes right on time. Just like Joseph, betrayed, enslaved, imprisoned, and forgotten. No one apologized to him, no one made it right. But one day, the very brothers who rejected him stood before him in need. Not because Joseph took revenge, but because God lifted him up when no one else could. Just like Job, who lost everything, was judged by his friends and left in ashes. But in the end, God himself spoke on Job's behalf and restored him double. Even Jesus, holy, blameless, was falsely accused, mocked, abandoned, crucified. But on the third day, he didn't have to argue. The resurrection was his ultimate vindication. So if today you're carrying something no one understands, if you're living righteously but remain unseen, unheard, unrecognized, hold your peace. God will speak. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to prove your worth. You don't have to fight for attention, because the day of vindication is coming. And when it comes, you won't have to say a word. God himself will make it known. Your life, your journey, your scars, your silence will become a testimony that touches many, not because you were perfect, but because you were faithful. Your pain will become your sermon. Your silence will become your credibility. And the very wounds that no one saw will become healing for someone else. So if you're still waiting for that day, if your heart still asks, "Lord, when will they understand?" comment 777 as a declaration of trust. Lord, I believe you will vindicate me in your time, in your way, for your glory. Until then, keep walking right. Keep loving deeply. Keep forgiving freely. Keep staying true to the voice of God, even when no one is watching. Because your vindication doesn't come from man, it comes from the hand of God. Part 9. You are not alone. You are chosen. The final confirmation from heaven about who you truly are. If you've walked with this journey from the beginning, if your tears have fallen as these words met your heart, then pause, breathe, close your eyes, and let this truth settle deep into your spirit. You are not alone. You are not crazy. You are not abandoned. You are not cursed. You are not lost in this world. You are chosen, not because you're better than others, not because you're more righteous, but because God saw something in you that no one else could see. He saw your heart, tender but bruised. He saw your faithfulness, even when it was hidden. He saw your sacrifices, though no one ever thanked you. He saw your forgiveness when you were the one hurting. And he saw the moments you nearly gave up, but kept going anyway. You always felt too different. You didn't fit in, you couldn't blend in, and for the longest time, you thought that was a flaw. But it wasn't. That was the clearest sign. You were never made to live a normal life. You were made to reflect heaven on earth, to carry light into the dark, to be a bridge between the broken and the healer. Your difference is not your burden, it is the evidence of your calling. And if you felt like a misplaced piece in the puzzle of this world, know this: God is building something brand new, and you are a piece He cannot do without. Even when the world doesn't see you, God sees. Even when people don't choose you, God chooses you. Even when you want to disappear, He still calls your name. And He has never left your side, not even for a moment. Let the voices of shame go silent. Let regret lose its grip. Let fear, guilt, and failure fall away. And stand, not in arrogance, but in the holy assurance that you are called by the one who formed you from dust. You are chosen. You are set apart. You are being prepared. And you are being sent in His time, in His way, with His power. If this journey has spoken to your spirit, if something inside you is whispering, "This is me," then comment 777, not as a number, but as a sacred yes. I believe I am chosen. You no longer need to prove anything. You no longer need to fear the road. You no longer need to shrink or apologize for being different. All that's left is this: be faithful to the one who called you out of the dark and into His glorious light. And if there comes a day when you feel tired again, misunderstood again, invisible again, come back to these words and remember, you are not alone, you are chosen, and God is still writing your story. Amen.